Film allows the artist to bring unbridled imagination to the animation of cartoon characters. A. To bring. B. Bringing. C. Is brought. D. Brings. 2. Traditionally, sweet cider is served in New England on Thanksgiving Day. D. When served is sweet cider. B. When sweet cider is served. C. Is served sweet cider. D. Sweet cider is served. 3. Typical of the grassland dwellers of the continent is the American antelope, or pronghorn. C. It is the American antelope. B. The American antelope is. C. Is the American antelope. D. The American antelope. 4. Lillian D. Wald, public health nurse and, was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, in 1867. B. Reforming society. B. Social reformer. C. Who reformed society. D. Her social reform. 5. Copper sulfate, spread in judicious amounts, kills algae, harming fish or aquatic invertebrates. D. Does not. B. But does no. C. Except. D. Without. 6. Of the millions who saw Halley's Comet in 1986, how many people, long enough to see it return in the 21st century? C. Will they live? B. They will be living. C. Will live. D. Living. 7. That fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise are universally reflected in facial expressions. Anthropologists have discovered. B. Anthropologists discovering. C. The discovery by anthropologists. D. Discovered by anthropologists. 8. In 1964, of Henry Ossawa Tanner's paintings was shown at the Smithsonian Institution. D. Was a major collection. B. That a major collection. C. A collection was major. D. A major collection. 9. Irritating effect on humans. The use of phenol as a general antiseptic has been largely discontinued. D. It's. B. Where it's. C. Since it's. D. Because of its. 10. In order to remain in existence, must, in the long run, produce something consumers consider useful or desirable. A profit-making organization. B. A profit-making organization which. C. Therefore a profit-making organization. D. Whichever a profit-making organization. 11. The greater the population there is in a locality. For water, transportation, and disposal of refuse. A. The greater the need there is. B. Greater need. C. Is there great need. D. The great need. 12. A historical novel may do more than mirror history. Future events. B. Even influencing. B. It may even influence. C. May even influence. D. That it may even influence. 13. A child, sculptor Anne Whitney showed an eager intellect and artistic talent that her parents recognized and encouraged. D. Has been. B. It was while. C. She was. D. As. 14. It is widely believed that the pull of gravity on a falling raindrop changes round shape into a teardrop shape. B. Of the drop. B. The drop s. C. Drop of. D. Drops there. 15. Modern offices becoming more mechanized, designers are attempting to personalize them with warmer, less severe interiors. C. A. If, B. But, C. With, D. Once. Not woman held a presidential cabinet position in the United States until 1933, when Frances Perkins became Secretary of Labor. A. The human body relies on certain nutrients for its survival. C. Too much electric current may flow into a circuit as a result either of a fault in the circuit and of an outside event such as lightning. D. The Appalachian Trail, extending approximately 2,020 miles from Maine to Georgia, is the longer continuous marked footpath in the world. C. For years, elephants were hunted for food and ivory, and as a result their numbers have been greatly reduced. B. Barges which carry most of the heavy freight on rivers and canals are usually propelled by towing. A. Although afflicted by serious eyesight problems, Alicia Alonso was one of the principal stars of the American Ballet Theatre and later formed her own dance company. C. The ritual combat of animals are triggered by precise signals. B. It is more difficult to write simply, directly, and effective than to employ flowery but vague expressions that only obscure one's meaning. B. Different species of octopuses may measure anywhere from 2 inches to over 30 feet in long. D. According to some theories derived from psychoanalysis, life is supposedly easier and more pleasant when inhibitions overcoming. D. When rainbows appear, they are always in the part of the sky opposite directly the sun. D. Benjamin Franklin drew a political cartoon that is credited raising 10,000 volunteers for the American Revolutionary War. C. The beginnings of the modern chemistry laboratory go back to the workrooms of medieval alchemists. A. In many pieces of music there is a dominant theme on which the restful of the composition is centered. C. Luminescence refers to the emission of light by means another than heat. C. In a representative democracy, the people election delegates to an assembly. C. George Washington Carver found hundreds of uses for the peanut, the sweet potato, and the soybean and thus stimulated the cultivation of these crops. A citadel, a fortress designed for the defense of a city, usually standing on top of a hill. D. Conservative philosophers argue that the very structure of society is threatening by civil disobedience, while humanists stress the primacy of the individual conscience. B. Since 1971 the regional corporations set up in Alaska by Congress managing everything from fishing to banking. C. A rocket burns propellant rapidly and most rockets carry a supply that lasts just a few seconds. D. Textile art is known for both its tactile and vision qualities. C. The metal aluminum has been first isolated early in the 19th century. B. Gulls can often be seen swooping over large bodies of water. B. 1. The difference between libel and slander is that libel is printed while C. A. Spoken is slander, B. Is spoken slander, C. Slander is spoken, D. Is slander spoken to. Great numbers of tiny shelled animals on the ocean floor. A. Live, B. Living, C. They will live, D. If they lived. 3. The knee is the joint, the thigh bone meets the large bone of the lower leg. B. A. When, B. Where, C. Why, D. Which. Four closed plane figures like the square or the equilateral triangle can be grouped into a class underscore 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 underscore